log cabins and hiking in from Tofino.
Yeah. What? Yeah. Mainly to do with alcohol and drugs in our community to help heal our people.
It's quite nice. Very serene, very quiet. Really cool guy. Really cool guy. So I got on a boat with a guy named Kenny who runs, he does water taxiing and he hauls lumber and he takes people to town to get into an ambulance to get to the hospital. And yeah, it's $50 one way, which is a bit expensive, I think, but he said, yeah, that's it. Like, that's the non-resident price. Residents pay $30. Take it or leave it. Yeah. This is his boat. It's a very nice boat. I am inside, and it's heated, and it's cold outside, so I think that makes the price I'm paying a bit more worthwhile. We just stopped to get some fuel, and we'll be on our way soon. So Kenny was just talking about all the work he does and the businesses he runs. So clam digging, sockeye salmon that you sell to Japan, lumber that goes to Australia. What else? States.
Ontario, Toronto, Vancouver, all over the island here, Victoria.
And then he does water taxiing, transporting like injured patients to the ambulance on the dock in Tofino. Really a jack of all trades.
Yeah, I do mechanic work. I'm a licensed security guard. I'm a fully certified carpenter.
Incredible.
Yeah, I've got a lot of trades and skills.
Yeah, and provides for a family of 8 back on the island. Really cool guy. Really cool guy.
There's a wildside trail that comes out here for hikers.
Okay.
There's First Beach, and then all the way out towards the corner here, you hit 3rd and 4th Beach.
Right.
And then all the way around the corner, what the heck is it called now? I'm trying to place it goes all the way out anyway. And then even hikers, when we bring hikers in, right, it's the same thing. It's $50 a head. And then you just give them your phone number and you say, okay, when you're done hiking or camping, give me a call, I'll meet you at the dock and we'll get you back into town.
So it's not that uncommon to have non-residents come to the island.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we get people that come in and some people just come in to Starbucks. Like,
oh wow.
we come in and drop us off and we'll hike your trail and we'll take pictures of the waters, the beaches. Yeah, it kind of slows down about this time of year, right? We get a couple of months or whatever, but for the most part it's always just tradespeople like carpenters, electricians, and counselors and doctors that come and go mainly this time of year. But in the spring spring and summer, you always get kayakers kayaking in there.
Kayaking in from Tofino.
Yeah. What? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, people kayaking. Just to camp out here.
Wow.
Because it's so peaceful, right?
I can imagine, yeah. Do you have vehicles on the reserve?
Yeah, there's cars. I don't have one myself. I shipped mine out for my water taxi. I got a tiny tank on my truck. I got 2 trucks in town.
Okay.
I just upgraded my wife's truck, but my truck's just a work truck. And I put a tiny tank on my truck because the price of fuel in town here is almost $2 a liter. And if I can get fuel in like Portland and Nanaimo for $1.30 a liter,
Yeah.
I'm saving about $450. If I buy it by the bulk at 450 liters in town, and then I'll just cart it in for like $100 to go get it, so I'm still saving $350.
So this is the reserve's wellness and healing center.
That's a $3 million project. That one is still underway. It's not open yet.
It looks like actually really nice.
Yeah.
And what kind of healing and wellness do they provide there?
Addiction, drugs.
Yeah.
It's mainly to do with alcohol and drugs in our
Okay.
community to help heal our people.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Do they work with like local kind of practitioners, or do they bring in people from?
It's local, and then they bring in also from out of town.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It's kind of like a joint venture.
Wow. I get a view through the glass. That's really nice.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I see it.
There's actually a story to the skate park. Me and
What's
my partner, we saved 14 people in the water, and that's the story behind that skate park. We saved 14 people out of the 27 people, me and my buddy Clarence Smith. And then the guy that we saved in the water builds skate parks for a living.
Wow.
And he wanted to give back to us, right, for saving his life when he whale watching boat capsized out in the open ocean. And he's like, well, is there anything that I can do for you and Clarence? And my buddy Clarence spoke up for both of us. And he said, no, me and my partner, we don't need anything. He said, if you want to do something for my community or even for the kids, he said, you can do something for the kids in my community. He's like, okay, well, I build skate parks for a living, so how about I give back to your community and I build you guys a skate park?
Wow.
And my buddy Clarence, my buddy Smitty was like, yeah, that's great if you want to build the kids a skate park. And then they built the skate park. He come back about 6 months later with a boatload of skateboards and I don't know what those other little wheelie things with the handles. Scooters, and he come in with helmets and everything.
Oh, that's awesome.
And he started just announcing on the radio for all the kids to come in, was giving out skateboards, scooters, helmets. And
Oh, that's awesome.
that's the story behind our skate park. Me and my buddy saved lives, and he gave back by building our kids a skate park.
Over that way, there's people in the water. Over that way there. Send more boats. We need help. Send more boats here. We were the first ones there. Yep.
Clarence Smith and Kenny Brown, buddies, fishing partners, and now heroes.
There you go.
That's it. I'm not afraid of the ocean at all, but you don't take it for granted.
Maybe it's because Kenny Brown has lived his life on the water that he needs to talk about what happened. It's as if he's still there, staring out at a man close to drowning.
We threw a rope and we threw a Scotch bag, a flotation device. We threw it to him so that he could catch it, and he grabbed onto that flotation device. And we started pulling him. He was exhausted. You could see it in his face. He was exhausted. He was
hanging onto the boat for dear life.
Like a little longer and he might have slipped in and...
Yeah, he wouldn't have made it if we didn't make it to him. I feel that in my heart, and I know he wouldn't have made it.
Kenny also told me about a young boy's life he saved from drowning, and how he saved lives when a seaplane crashed into a boat in the Tofino harbor.
Walked away from his mom, and then he was like kicking between these four pilings and tumbled in the water. Nobody knew, and then all of a sudden he drifted over, and there was people on the dock, right? There was like 50 people on each finger, and then somebody could hear a kid underneath the dock. So I jumped between those four pilings. They were like, he's right here, he's under the dock.
Wow.
So I went over, I jumped in between those four pilings, and I swam over to that little 3-year-old kid. And just his nose was above the water, and his little mouth.
Wow.
And he was kicking.
Wow.
At 3 years old.
Wow.
I saved his life. His family held a little gathering and blanketed me and had a dinner and thanked me. So I was like, holy man. So I saved his life. I saved 4 people's lives on the airplane. And then we saved like 13 or 14 people on the Leviathan.
On the whaleboat, yeah. So above all the things you do, you're also a lifesaver.
Yeah. Because I'm always on the water like this.
Yeah.
And I still stay in touch with people like the guy who built the skate park and the 2 Germans that I saved in the water, the very first 2 guys that I saved. And then there's a family from Ireland that were on that boat too that I saved, that I just bumped into her in Tofino. She coming from Ireland or whatever. And she was...
Kenny parked us at the main dock in Ahousaht. He radioed for Joseph, the man I'd met on the bus a few days prior. Joseph met me on the dock and took me up into town.
My son should be home soon.
So, my friend, who I met on the bus to Tofino, Joseph, met me just over there at the dock and walked me up to his home, which is just behind me, somewhere over there, I believe. One of those ones over there. And his wife was there, and yeah, we just talked a bit about the history of the tribe. So Ahousaht, where I'm at right now, is a tribe of a larger nation, the name of which I wrote down but don't remember and can't pronounce. And Joseph was telling me that they essentially speak a common language, but with dialects. And so in Ahousaht they have a dialect, and there's another nation or tribe, I guess, near here that has a different dialect, and there are some words that change. I also asked him about like the governance, and that he explained to me that it's a hereditary system. They recognize their chiefs. They have, like, it's a principal chief, a second chief, and a third chief. Yeah, but I'd say what's most impressive to me is like how beautiful the nature is around here. I mean, take a look. And there are mountains in the back that you can't really see much of because of the cloud cover, but it's quite nice. Very serene, very quiet. This would be the police station, RCMP. And back there is the high school. A little soccer field and track around it. This is the skate park that Kenny was telling me about that was built after he rescued that man from the whale watching boat. Right next, hey doggy, right next to the water. Well, been walking around for a while. I talked to an RCMP officer at the police station, and stopped in at the high school to talk to someone there, and went to this kind of like community wellness center and talked to a woman there, and I've been walking around a little bit after that, and you know, kind of just see that it's just a town like any other town. I mean, sure, there's a lack of a lot of services that in other towns in Canada, let's say that there are, full-time doctor, or hospital, and, shops and grocery stores and all that. You have to go usually to Tofino or the mainland, I guess, to access that. But other than that, it's just a town, people live, they go to school, they work, I think. A lot of people work. Usually in some sort of community, some service for the community. Yeah, I don't know. I had this idea in my head that it would be like log cabins and like fires going on and drums and singing, but I mean, it seems kind of absurd now that I'm here to think that that's what I'd find. At this point, I had been walking around Ahousaht for a few hours and wasn't sure what to do next. I'd passed by Joseph's house on the way to the beach, and he waved at me through the window. I thought it was best to head back to see him and Myrna. Hey there, it's me. So I didn't really get any video footage from inside Joseph's house. I didn't feel it was very appropriate, but I did get a lot of pictures. And so what you're looking at here is a bird. I don't remember the kind of bird that it is exactly, but it's a very important crest to the Ahousaht people. And Joseph painted it on his door, the inside front door of his house himself. This was what was on TV when I was there, which was basically a compilation of epic fails. Thought that was hilarious. This is us. This is myself, Joseph, and his wife Myrna. And finally, I saw this wall above me of photos of elders and ancestors of Joseph and Myrna, which I thought was super cool and reminded me a lot of a wall that my great-grandmother had at her house in her dining room of similar photos of my own ancestors and past relatives. And I thought it was a really cool parallel between the two. And after that, I called up Kenny once more to take me back to Tofino. Joseph and Myrna joined me as they had to do a grocery run. Yes, 2 $30 boat rides and upwards of an hour commute just to buy groceries. On the way there, we passed by some stunning shorelines such as this one. And this place, the site of a former residential school. Residential schools were institutions across Canada that sought to isolate Indigenous children from the culture and beliefs of their communities and assimilate them into Euro-Canadian life.
They look at us different, yeah, for sure. But like you say, we have our pods of people that go through the struggle, and that's what they shine the light on. Like I hear you talk about residential school, right? And that's where a lot of our alcohol and our drugs and addiction and the struggle, even just to live life, right? You go through so much pain through residential school.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to direct their energy when it comes to that kind of stuff. I started learning it about a few years ago, full on like classes and stuff like that. And to hear like it's so good to see these young people in here, and it was like that was good enough ammo for me to continue